You clear your schedule, sit down at your desk after dinner, and promise yourself you are going to grind through your textbook for 6 straight hours. Midnight rolls around. You close the book, but realize you can barely recall a single thing you read after the first hour. This line graph plotting focus efficiency over time shows exactly why that happens. Look right here at the 30-minute mark. Your cognitive efficiency plummets. Trying to force your brain to absorb complex information for hours on end guarantees you will spend most of your evenings staring blankly at pages. The solution is to move away from marathon sessions and construct a hyper-efficient 30-minute study cycle. By engineering your environment and your methods, you can retain more information in less time. Before you begin, gather your textbook, a countdown timer, a desk, and a small dedicated desk lamp. Shifting your approach doesn't require more willpower. It requires aligning your study habits with your brain's natural cognitive limits. We are highly controlled by environmental cues. If you attempt to study in a multi-purpose dorm room or a bedroom, you are fighting a space that is already wired to tell your brain to sleep, snack, or socialize. Researchers at the University of Hawaii found that for students living in these single-room environments, the primary hurdle was simply getting into it. The physical space actively worked against their concentration. If you must study in your bedroom, you have to break those visual cues. Turn your desk completely away from your bed so you are facing a blank wall, removing the bed from your field of vision. Then, introduce your study lamp. This is a singular environmental cue. You turn it on only when you are actively studying. You do not use it for reading for fun, and you do not leave it on while you snack. By consistently using that light only for work, you are training your brain to switch into a study mode based on visual cues. Like raising your hand in class, sitting under that lamp eventually triggers the habit of focus without you needing to force it. Next, we have to eliminate passive reading. Dragging a highlighter across a page from beginning to end is ineffective. If you color an entire page solid orange, you haven't actually identified what matters. Passive reading creates an illusion of competence. When you review your notes later, you see the highlighted text and confuse visual recognition with actual recollection. You recognize the words, but you haven't learned the concepts. To fix this, you will execute a survey and question phase. Spend exactly 2 minutes scanning the material before you do any deep reading. Isolate bold headers and convert them into questions. If a header reads formal concepts, ask yourself, what is a formal concept? This creates a psychological search mechanism. Your brain will automatically filter for important data, actively looking for an answer. The priming phase forces you to engage with the text before you begin reading. When the timer starts, you are specifically answering your own inquiries rather than just moving your eyes across lines of text. Set your timer for 25 minutes, turn on your study lamp, and read strictly to find the answers to the questions you just generated. When you find an answer, stop. Look entirely away from the book and explain the concept out loud to an empty chair in your own words. If you can't articulate it clearly, you don't yet understand it. Some material doesn't have a deep conceptual framework. For instance, knowing that Sigmund Freud is the father of psychoanalysis is a discrete fact. It is a piece of information that requires memorization rather than deep comprehension. To memorize these facts, use interacting images. Look at the word carbohydrate. A car has 4 wheels, and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. For fats, picture a fat cat with 9 lives. Fats have 9 calories per gram. These visual associations are highly effective because they link dry data to vivid, memorable concepts. During an exam, these associations are much easier to retrieve than words you've simply repeated to yourself. Combining vocal recitation with visual mnemonics targets both conceptual understanding and factual retention. This approach addresses the material from multiple angles, making the focus block more effective than reading the same page multiple times. The exact moment your 25-minute timer sounds, execute a hard stop. Click off your study lamp immediately to signal that the work session is over. This graph illustrates the recovery that happens during a break. Stepping away from the desk allows your focus to rebound, ensuring your next study block starts with significantly higher efficiency than if you had tried to push through. Once you complete your study cycles for the day, give yourself a significant, guilt-free reward. This reinforces the habit loop, making it easier to commit to intense focus blocks. The final step is biological. You need 8 hours of sleep to allow your hippocampus to utilize REM cycles. This is where your brain permanently consolidates short-term memories into long-term storage. Efficient studying is a holistic mechanical system. By managing your environment, capping focus at 30 minutes, and prioritizing rest, you can decrease your study time while exponentially increasing your retention.